Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Shamian Brown, and I will be returning to J. Sargent Reynolds this spring to continue working on my science and RN associate's degrees. At first, I was not completely sure of what direction I was headed in. I was just going through the motions because I was instructed to do this or that. While attending John F. Kennedy High School, I was approached by one of the kindest souls in a uniform. I was not aware of it at the time, but it was an encounter that would change my life. Join the JROTC, the kind stranger said. I stayed in for a couple of years, even participating in activities outside of the school year. After graduating in 2003, I moved back to New York, hoping to join the Plumbers Union. When that did not pan out, I returned to Richmond and began working retail. Then I gave birth to my son in 2004. Richmond has a Plumbers Union, so I applied here this time. Though I had taken AutoCAD in high school, I still needed more. I started at J. Sargent Reynolds in the fall of 2005, pursuing architectural and industrial design specialization and civil engineering technology majors. Finally, I felt like I knew what direction I was going in and did not mind my course load at all. Then, the first recession of my lifetime occurred. I thought that I had picked a safe and solid path. Once busy, construction sites turned into ghost town, leaving heavy equipment behind, just as it had been at the end of the last shift. Mounds of earth that had been overturned began to sprout and bring forth life in what was to be a temporary location, but the construction workers did not return. Fear set in because the prices of all necessities were rising, but my income was not. I needed to pivot and do so quickly. Initially, at the mall's recruiting office, I took the practice app ASVAB with an Air Force recruiter, and then went across the hall to speak with the Army recruiter as well. They were going to be able to ship me out faster, so I went with them. While doing my paperwork, I shared that I had been in JROTC, which changed my entry rank and pay. In June of 2009, I swore in as Private First Class Brown, 68 Whiskey, healthcare specialist. When I reached Fort Sam in January 2010, I kept hearing my battle buddies say, "Always forward, Sergeant," and the response being, "Always forward, Soldier Medic." I asked, "Who is Soldier Medic?" Quickly, I realized that it was, in fact, me. I was in training to become a combat medic. By February of that same year, I had become a nationally registered EMT basic, and never in a million years had I ever considered a career in healthcare. After my service concluded, I began taking classes in 2011. I obtained Virginia reciprocity as an EMT basic and received credit at J. Sargent Reynolds for my license. I took multiple science courses and discovered another passion. I continued taking classes semester after semester, learning how to drive both an ambulance and a fire truck. Before I knew it, in 2014, I had completed the pre-nursing, EMT basic, and healthcare technician career study certificates, as well as a general education certificate. The following year, spring of 2015, I had racked up so much debt and student loans that I stopped to preserve my GPA and returned to work full time. I used my CNA license that I had received from my studies in the healthcare technician program and added to it a registered medication aid license. And the day I worked full time as an executive administrative assistant, utilizing the various skills that I had developed in the Army from records management. Every other night and weekend in the very same building, I worked part time as an RMA, and that's a registered medication aid. By the time 2016 rolled around, I was beyond exhausted, frazzled, and burned out. Just as I took some time to relax and regroup, the bottom fell out. After an open heart surgery and many weeks in the cardiac ICU, my father died. I shut down and had sworn off the medical field, thinking that I would never want anything else to do with it. The pandemic of 2020 reawakened the passions that were lying dormant inside of me for both science and nursing. I empathized with each of the healthcare workers that were stretched beyond normal limits. Deeply, I desired to continue my education so that I could do my part and lighten the load in an overworked profession. Though my passions and desire were renewed, my funding for school was not, at least not yet. I want to thank you for making what was seemingly too difficult to achieve possible for me again. It is my goal to complete my science and nursing associate's degrees at J. Sargent Reynolds Community College, where it all began, before transferring to a 4-year in the future. When I received word that I had received the Major General Edmund A. Rafalco Scholarship, I was so excited and relieved to have a chance to return as a Reynolds student. Then I did some research to find out who Major Rafalco was. I was overwhelmed and immediately wondered if I deserved to receive an award in honor of such a decorated military leader. I can promise his daughter, Miss Celia Rafalco, that I will make the most of the incredible opportunity she has provided.
I want to thank Shamian for such a warm and emotional presentation, and I'm so happy to be able to help. And I'm crying too.